Welcome back to Tabletop Simulator with the mod Kingdom Death Monster. This is Dr. Obsidia. Last time we left off, we were getting ready to hunt the antelope. So we've set up the antelope over here on the hunt board. Coming along on this expedition is Agathon here. He's running with a sword that he's going to try to become proficient in. And over here we've got our dagger user, Ying, the brainless sneak of the antelope, using a dagger. Also has Timeless Eye, which is rolling a perfect hit on a 9 or a 10, and perfect hits will refund our survival, bring our survival back, in other words. So also we got the full rawhide set, so if we spend survival, we have a chance to get it back as well. This character is looking pretty strong overall. Our archer here with the unconscious fighter, 7 bleed tokens to kill, and also may spend an action to give all non-death survivors a +2 insanity once per showdown. Also, with our dying breath, hopefully it doesn't happen, we can encourage the survivors. And then, Shella, Wise Fool of the Lantern, our crazed person here, gains a +1 insanity on perfect hits. Running with the King Spear and the Frenzied drink goes well with crazed, I think, but has almost no armor. Alright. Okay, so, last we left off, I said I could choose who to do, but just to make things random, I'm going to toss this chit down. Monster controller is usually used if you have different players, but I don't. So I'm just running this to see who the event revealer is. So, the event revealer for the first one is going to be Shella, just to make it random and kind of interesting. And our hunt party will move the first slot here and flip it. Alright, grazing field. Acanthus leaves sprout from the crevices in the stone ground. The survivors spend time gathering and eating the small leaves. Each survivor may heal 1 hit location of their choice, restoring all injury levels and armor. We don't have any sickle, we don't have any damage, so we're just rolling on the random hunt table here. This is a 0, even though it's a lantern 10, because if you need 2 lantern 10s if you know how 10-sided work to get 100. Anything less than that, it's going to act as a 0 in the 10 spot. So if they're both zeros here, then it would be 100. But in this case, it is a 0-5, so we're rolling a 5 here. All right, let's go to the page. We're going to find it here. 5. Flesh fields. Ahead, the stone faces on the ground give way to field of man-sized fleshy boils sprouting thick black hair. That sounds terrible. The sinuous terrain radiates moist heat. It's even worse. And as they travel, the survivors suffer heat exhaustion, losing 1 survival. The event revealer rolls 1d10. If they have a sickle, they can try to cut a path through it. Add 4 to the roll. Ew. So everyone loses a survival, which is unfortunate because we like having survival. And then the event revealer has to roll a 1d10. So let's roll a 1d10 here. And a 9 is... Whoa, what happened there? We lost our page. 9 is okay, I think. Maybe it flipped the page. I'll go back there and find it again. There we go. Okay, 9. The event revealer makes the best of a bad situation, cuts a portion of flesh free. 1 basic hide resource. All right. So to get that, we're going to search basic. Find hide. Drop that out. And we can always just reset this at the end, actually. So we have 20 there. So our event revealer is here. And then we pass the chit token. And on to the next one. Random hunt event. Roll a D100 and consult the table. Alright, this is a 32. So we will skip to 32. Sudden madness. The event revealer is devastated by a piercing cacophony in their head. Roll 1d10. If the result is less than or equal to their current insanity, they go mad, lashing out their compatriots. Each survivor suffers 1 event damage to a random location before the event revealer regains control of themselves. If the event revealer has crazed fighting art, then they don't. So the event revealer's insanity is 2. So we have to roll a less than a 2 or less. That's horrible. Let's roll it. No, we failed it. Okay. So then each survivor suffers 1 event damage each other survivor 1 event damage to a random hit location. That's terrible. All right, first one is to the arms. Arms. They're light injury. Not to her. Body on the next one. That's okay. We can take 1 to the body. And our last one is a cocked die, but if you mouse over it says legs. Light injury to the legs there. Okay. Passing the token. Next. Flipping it. Alright. Migration. Some unseen force has set off a massive migration. Nothing remains but uprooted acanthus plants and shattered ground ruined by hooves. Move the Screaming Antelope 3 spaces away from the survivors on the hunt board. Oh no! 1, 2, 3. That's past the overwhelming darkness, which is really terrifying at this level. That's horrible. He ran away from us. Hopefully he comes back across overwhelming darkness, because I don't want to go into that. Alright, we passed the token again to Agathon. And Agathon reveals a random hunt event, which these are probably both random hunt events, which means we're going to have to go through overwhelming darkness, which is always going to be pretty bad, especially at this level. 93. We'll click to 93. Lost survivor. In the hollow between 2 identical rocks, you find a corpse with fabulous hair. If we have the pictographs innovation, and as you can see, we do not. Then the event revealer may read from the book, which we can't, otherwise we move on. The book tells the tragic tale of 2 survivors who found love they never could have. Okay, so thank you to some backer that made that. Alright, nothing happened there. So then we will pass our token here to keep track of who the revealer is. And it is Shella. Another random event. And then we're going to enter overwhelming darkness here. This is a 0, so 70. Tomb of Excellence. So that doesn't sound so bad, does it? The survivors find a serene, luxurious tomb, immaculate in its construction and condition. Elegant murals decorate the walls, depicting glorious victories over the very monsters the survivors are hunting. The survivors are baffled by the presence. The event revealer rolls a d10. All right, Shella, what have you got? A 4. Okay, it's nice to see something pretty for once, eh? That's okay then, I guess. Okay, we saw something pretty. All right. Now we move on into overwhelming darkness. Now, overwhelming darkness means we have to move up to this table here. Now, if this is the path of the insane survivors walk this path. The others walk the doomed. Okay, and +3 courage walk the path of the brave. Nobody has +3 courage. And insane, we have 1 survivor who's insane. That is Shella. So Shella's going to walk the path of the insane. And we can actually take the different colored dice here. I'm going to copy these dice. And then I'll bring those up here so we can see where everybody's going. And of course, Shella is running the path of the insane. And the rest of them are on the path of the doomed. So you get the idea of who is who here. So Shella's going to roll first. I want to see what happens to her. She rolled a lantern. The crab spider you've been traveling with stops to eat a few hissing maggots. You decide you can't leave your friend behind. Gain 1 crab spider vermin resource. All right. The crab spider. There it is. Crab spider. Archive this and gain 3 survival. This also acts as hide. So if we get it home with us, we get some hide as well. Why has she got hide sitting on her here? I don't remember getting hide anywhere. Did I not move that last time? I'm gonna have to check that. Hold on a second. Oh, I remember hide was where we got the boils there. Yeah, it slipped my mind. All right, so she's got the crab spider now, so she's got 2 hide that she's carrying. And next, the path of the doomed. I'm gonna roll these 3 and see what happens here. Hopefully nothing bad. Uh-oh, skull is a bad thing. Here it says, for the red person, a host of translucent moths gently descend. Spend all your survival, at least one, or your lantern light vanishes and you're never seen again dead. All right, well, that's okay, because Agathon can spend at least one, and he will live. All right, next up is Ying with the green, and then Phalor is blue. So Ying rolled a 6, and a 6 is you choke on the atmosphere, it leaves you sick and unbalanced, lose monster level survival, which is 1, and gained a -1 evasion token. So here is our evasion token, and if we flip that and drop it in temporary, we lost our last survival there. Ooh, and then 9. Oh, yeah, and then 9. Resolute, you gain 1 insanity and 1 courage. So over here, Phalor gets, whoops, I think I did the wrong one there. We'll put that token over here now. 1 insanity. Okay, there, 1 insanity and 1 courage. Okay, so we still have 1 survival left. So we only got 2 people with survival, and that's okay because Ying can bring it back with the dagger. Then we'd pass the token, but we don't really need to because now we're leaving Overwhelming Darkness. It didn't turn out too bad for us, actually. It could be quite worse. We now land on the square with the Antelope, and that starts the showdown. So now we'll go with the showdown here. I'll bring up the Screaming Antelope, level 1. And here's our overall layout. Now, as far as I know, we could move the acanthus plants anywhere in this green zone. Now, they do have rules, and we can see the acanthus has rules where it says must be 6 spaces away from all other acanthus plants. But because we can set these up in a special way, I don't think we have to follow those exact rules for that. All the acanthus has to be at least 1, 2, 3, 4 squares from him. So it's too hard to separate those by 6 squares because they're 4 squares away from him. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's pretty good. The bug has to be there, the bug patch. And then we've got 2 tall grass, and we have the nightmare tree. And the nightmare tree has to be at least 5 spaces away from the edge of the board. So we can put that right, maybe right here. And tall grass has to be 4 spaces away from all other tall grass. So we can hide actually behind in the tall grass a little bit, but he's gonna graze on the acanthus, so that's not always a good thing. But let's put the grass up here so we can maybe engage him, and then we'll put some more grass maybe back here. That's 4 away. We have an archer. And yeah, Shella and Phalor, probably we're gonna hide them in there. Yeah, and then our tank is Ying, but Ying has no ability to dodge or anything at this point. Needs to get a hit, and a perfect hit is a 9 or a 10. So Ying is gonna have to try to tank. Sorry. The spellings there are weird on Ying there. Ying, Brainless Sneak of the Antelope, and then ADW. I'm not sure what that's all about. A little bit of bug. I have to figure out how to fix that. I'll check the population here and see if I can find that. Yeah, there, it's all at the end. Lion DDDD, probably trying to finish the... Whoops. Let's see if I can fix it really quickly here. That might fix. And then Ying. ADW. Let's see, did that fix it? Okay, there we go. All right. So they're hidden in the grass. And the antelope probably can't see Agathon, but it can definitely see Ying standing there. All right. First turn, we'll bring up the battle UI. We don't need to worry about the founding stone right now. So let's shuffle real quick and pop out our first AI card. Screaming Antelope says, back kick. And target is in blind spot. There is none. Closest threat in range. I don't think any are in range, so nope. So it will graze. And when it grazes right here, The monster full moves to the closest acanthus plant and ends its turn. If the monster is adjacent to an acanthus, archive the terrain and heal 1 wound. If there are no acanthus plants, instead, just full move, straight forward. So it's going to move up 1 and consume that acanthus plant, and it is now gone. All right, it's our turn. So that was relatively painless. All right, so Phalor, Shella, everybody needs to move a bit. We can move Agathon up. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I don't want to move him necessarily there yet. Let's go ahead and move Ying all the way up next to the tree, the nightmare tree. Now the nightmare tree, it says it's impassable, we cannot see past it, but if we activate next to it, we can roll once per showdown on this table. So we're going to go ahead and let Ying roll on the table. And we rolled a lantern, which is always a good thing, almost. And we find a decorative scrap. Gain 1 broken lantern basic resource. All right, good deal. Broken lantern right there. Okay, and then he's done. So then Agathon's going to go and run up behind him and do basically the same thing. So let's say if Agathon can get the same result. An 8, and I think that's good enough to get another broken lantern resource. Basic resource, broken lantern, there we go. Now, I think we've just stripped out all the broken lantern basic resources from the deck. So, okay, so because we can see in the deck here, there is no more broken lantern. I can type it lantern. There's nothing else in there. So because these are not taken to the settlement, we look at the deck, the card here, the wording is very important. Gain 1 basic resource. If we gained it again, we're not going to gain anything because the resource is gone. We basically harvested all of it. So we won't be drawing any more. The only thing we could possibly get is a lonely ant. So there's no good reason to harvest this anymore because it's just going to knock us down or do an arm damage, and I don't need the lonely ant. Specifically. So we've got all the broken lanterns that we need out of there, and that's good. Okay, so Agathon is done. Next is Shella. Shella can run forward as well. And Shella, let's see, probably has nothing to do right now, so we'll go ahead and be done with Shella. And Phalor, also not much there other than to surge, but I think Phalor will just come maybe right here and be done as well. All right, next turn, our antelope buddy is going to stomp. Closest knockdown survivor. No one is knocked down. Furthest threat in field of view in range. Uh-oh. Furthest threat. Well, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is Phalor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is Shella. So we have a choice between Shella and Phalor, actually. And also Agathon. We can choose. It doesn't say random, so it means we can pick. Otherwise, it's going to charge through Ying and knock Ying sprawling and give him a wound there from trample. And trample means if he collides, he suffers a monster damage, where normally collide would just knock you down, and if the monster ends on top of you, it'll knock you back 5. But in this case, the monster is good at trampling because it is an antelope, and it has the trample skill. So in this case, we have to choose between Shella and Phalor. So we're going to choose Shella. So the monster's going to run up to Shella here because it's move and attack. And then move and attack, and this always hits the body location. So accuracy is 2, damage is 2 to the body, and speed is 1. So we can see our body here is completely unhit at this point, so that's good. It's only a single attack, so let's see what happens here. It is a 2, and that's good enough to hit, almost miss. So it says if it's going to hit and it's going to do 2 damage, and if this attack damaged the target, and it will, draw an AI card. Well, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and dodge it because I don't want to give it an extra AI card. So that'll stop the antelope right there. And since it didn't get the result of the body blow damage, it's done because it didn't do any damage. So I spent that survival. I may not have had to do that, but I decided why not. Okay, so now we've got people in front of it. And they would like to maybe get around to the back side. So I think Agathon is not in a position to move, but Ying can move. So let's get Ying 1, 2, 3, yeah, like right here. Yeah. And then Ying has 3 dice, as we can see here, 3 dice for the bone dagger. So we're going to go ahead and roll 3. 7 to hit, but it's 6 because it's flank, and 7 to wound. Also, perfect hits on a 9 or 10 will restore our survival, which is a big deal for us. So 9 or 10s here. And we got 1 perfect hit, so that's going to restore 1 survival due to the dagger giving us +1 survival on a perfect hit. So we got 1 survival, and that also equates to hits. So let's get a couple hits here, shuffle that. Okay, so we got the furry tail, which has no reaction, and this one the attacker turns, which is good. We actually want the attacker to turn because that'll give everybody a chance to fire from behind and Agathon getting in there. So it doesn't matter which one we do. I think we'll go with the furry tail first. And oh, that rolled off a crit. Did you see that? A 6 is not good enough to wound. We need a 7. So we'll try again on the furry tail now. Oh, that was, I do the tail first? Well, it doesn't matter. We didn't hit crit either one. 8 is a wound. We'll do that. Okay. Reflex will automatically turn him, by the way. So there he is facing Ying, and Ying is done. All right, next. Actually, Phalor's going to go next and shoot the claw-headed arrow. So here's the claw-headed arrow right here. And it's just a single die. Hits on a 5. And if it hits, doesn't have to wound, it gives them a -1 evasion token. So let's see if we hit with that claw-headed arrow. And a 5 is good enough to hit. So that will give it a -1 evasion. Here's the evasion. To drop that up here in this token slot. Now, you see it, that gives it a -1 evasion. So you don't have to mess with the tokens if you want to keep playing with the numbers here. But as you can see on the battle UI there, that makes it easier for hitting. So that's great. And now it wounds on a 2. So here, the furry throat. Wow, okay, so we just shot it in the throat with our claw-headed arrow. Let's see if we can't get a crit here. An 8 is not going to crit, but it is good enough to wound. Okay, good deal. Shot it in the throat from behind. All right. We're going to let Agathon run up behind him here. So Agathon is swinging with a bone blade, and that means that Agathon has 4 attack, or 4 accuracy, but 3 because the rear arc, and 6 to wound. So we're going to roll those dice. And we got miss and a miss. That's unfortunate. Sorry, Agathon. You probably should have used your pounce. You could have pounced from the side. Probably would have been better. That's okay. Agathon's done. Phalor is done. And Shella, the wise fool of the lantern, rolls only 2 dice, not 3, to get rid of 1. And yeah, 5 to hit, 4 because we're in the blind spot. So we got 1 hit, 1 miss. Reflex. Uh-oh. Screaming Antelope frantically attacks everything around it. No crit opportunity either. We're going to have to try to hit it. We're all kind of in the bad spots now. We did hit at least. So now this is bad. 1 at a time. Target each survivor in the zone of death. Perform a basic attack action. Okay, so every survivor has to be basic attacked all the way around it. Starting with, we'll say Ying is in front. So Ying could dash away from this, but we don't have any hits yet. So we'll go ahead and take the basic attack. 2 attacks, 2 to hit, and 1 damage each. And both hit, 1 damage to each of these locations, the head and the legs. So Ying takes 1 to the head and 1 to the legs, and Ying is okay with that. Oh, by the way, we did arrive. I forgot, we have to check the arrival. Remember, whenever you arrive, you should check your gear 2 times, just to make sure. Departure and arrival. And I just arrived, so I should gain 1 insanity back, and also 1 survival. 1 insanity and 1 survival. And the other arrival, nothing here. And I think nothing here and nothing here either. But you should check that every time, because otherwise you're going to forget. Alright, so Ying is done. Now we got to do Agathon. Agathon has no survival, so Agathon's just got to tank these 2 hits. No evasion either, so this is just a 2... only a skull's going to miss. 2 hits, 1 damage to each location. Hands or arms and body. Arms takes a light wound, body still okay with armor. And then, lovely lady Shella, same problem. Oh, 1 is a miss, so this is the only, whoops, only 1 hit to the head. That's not good. The head will knock her down because it's a heavy wound. Okay, so she's knocked down. All right, everybody's done, so next turn. So now the monster is taking his turn. Bolt, closest knockdown survivor. Uh-oh, Shella just got knocked down. And it will be targeted. So then move and attack, accuracy, doesn't have to move, just turn. And we'll attack. Speed of 1. It will hit 1 damage to the leg. Light wound. And then it's going to full move the Screaming Antelope in a straight line away from all survivors. Alright. So away from all of us will probably be this way. All the way to the edge. Right there. Okay, it is done. She was knocked down until the end of its next turn, and its next turn has come and gone, so she will stand up because she was knocked down on our turn. So then the monster took a turn, and now she's back up. Now, we can't quite get there with Ying. Shella could get there. Agathon could not. And I think it's going to be Shella up first, if we would like her to swing. Now, she's got a little bit of damage here, but I think she's still okay. She'll go in the blind spot, I think. She does have a reach weapon, but she would like to get that 4 accuracy instead of a 5. 2 hits. Okay, the muzzle. No penalty there, so we're going to go ahead and roll for the restless muzzle. And a 6 is good enough to wound. It does have a +2 luck if you're attempting to wound with a club or shield, but we're not. And the next one is a failure. If we fail, it could be stunning us, sort of a stun. But we'll see how that goes. 4 to wound, and we missed. So now we are going to deal with this failure where, startled, these tiny hands around its chest, it's got a gaping chest, it has little tiny hands there, making rude gestures at us. So startled, you gain +1 insanity. Lose your composure. So +1 insanity. Lose our composure. And we have to spend an action to regain lost senses before we can attack again. So one way to do that is to drop a token or something on your die so you know that you can't spend it, or put it on some part that you can see. So she is done. Baylor is too far away to take a shot. It's a 6 range, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's just not close enough. So what we could do with the rest of our guys is, for example, Ying can run over here to the acanthus plant and try to grab it. So rolling a D, activating and rolling the D10. 5. On a 5, it says you consume it, find something tasty, gain +1 survival, and also archive the terrain. So we'll delete the terrain. Can't gain any survival, we're already maxed out. So Ying is done. Phalor, well, let's see, Agathon could do the same thing. Oh, come on, Agathon. You could actually use some more survival here. What are you going to get? A 9. That's actually a good roll. So we're going to get a fresh acanthus strange resource. There's the fresh acanthus. Now, you can fully heal the hit location at any time, and it including injury levels and armor points. So kind of nice in an emergency. We'll archive that. And then with Shella, who now has nothing to do, she's going to sit there. She's probably going to have to drink her frenzy drink next, I think, is her best bet. Our insanity is all good here, so let's go ahead and move our bow person over here to the tall grass and take an activation to be a non-threat, because you can hide in the grass. If you use your activation, you are not a threat until you attack or move out of that grass. So we're just going to sit there, and they're all done. All right, next turn. Showdown. If there are no acanthuses on the showdown board, discard Showdown and perform a basic action. There are. Full move the Screaming Antelope to the closest acanthus plant. If the monster ends its move on or adjacent to the acanthus, it consumes it. Archive the terrain and perform heal 1d5. That's bad. 1d5 cards. Okay, so it's going to full move towards the acanthus. Now, it could run her over if I wanted it to, but I don't want it to run her over. And I don't have to, because it's got to move this way. So I'm going to go ahead and move it up here as it's kind of running towards this acanthus. I think I'm going to do... Yeah, you can do it whatever you like. If you're playing this game, do it in the most advantageous position that is within reason, because you don't want to cripple yourself by killing yourself with this monster. You've already got enough stuff going against you. Okay, and then place Showdown at the top of the monster's AI deck instead of discarding it. All right, we don't want it to heal. We're going to have to hit this monster and get rid of that. All right, so here's where we are. Ying could move... let's see. Ying could probably get run over if we fail the attack, too. So let's get Shella... Well, let's get Shella over here on the bug patch, first of all. And then she is going to consume her frenzy drink. And her frenzy drink will allow her to basically go insane here. And frenzy here is a gain 1d5 insanity. So she's going to gain 3 insanity because I rolled a 6. And then she gains a +1 speed and a +1 strength token. She may not use any of her fighting arts. And her fighting art here is this, but it doesn't have to be used. So to be used is activated, for example, activation. It's just an automatic thing. She gains insanity on a perfect hit. But you may not use the fighting arts. You may not use weapon specialization or weapon mastery if you have any of those abilities too. As far as I know, you sometimes get some kind of special ability to use something, but you may not use it. So, okay, I think there's a little bit of debate on what happens when you frenzy, since you cannot use fighting arts. It just says you cannot use them. So what does that mean exactly? I think there's a little bit of debate on whether or not you can actually activate them, or if they're completely disabled, just say they as if they don't exist. And what does that mean? You may not use weapon specializations and so on. So my understanding, and I've heard different arguments on that, is that using it means that it's kind of disabled or something. So it'd be like a flipping it over. So she doesn't have the crazed. Can't focus on getting any benefit there. So one way to do that is just to flip all those over and assume you don't have them until you're done being frenzied. All right, gain 1 speed and 1 strength token. Also can be gained multiple times, but we cannot spend any survival. Well, we don't have any, so that's okay. The 1 speed, we're going to drop it in her slot here. And 1 strength. And that's what we get for drinking the testy juice there. Okay, and she is done on the bug patch. All right. Next, we would like Agathon to get into rear arc here, I think, and go ahead and swing with his sword. 1 perfect hit. And perfect hit, I think, does not do anything for him. So he's just going to just get 1 hit out of that. Restless Ear, again with the club or the shield, but we don't have that. So 2 is not going to be good enough to wound. He needs a 6. All right. Let's go ahead and let Ying slip over here to the side. Again, a 6 to hit, a 7 to wound, and a 9 is a perfect hit. We've got 2 9s. That will restore 2 of our survival. 3 hits, actually. 3. 1, 2. And there's a trap. Alright, so the trap. First, the Screaming Antelope panics. Its undermouth unleashes an inhuman wail. It bucks wildly and leaps into the air. The attacker is doomed, which means you can't spend any survival. All survivors adjacent to the monster suffer 2 brain damage level, or 2 brain damage per monster level. That's Agathon and Ying. So Agathon will suffer 2, and Ying will suffer 2 as well. So Agathon and Ying. Now Agathon's at 0 now. Per level, knockback 5 and knock down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and knock down. All survivors. So 5 and knock down. Then the monster lands on its belly and begins to slide on its teeth, which is under its belly. Turn the monster directly away from the attacker. It already... whoop, that's the other way then. Because attacking from that side. And move in a straight line. And on collision, non-death survivors gain 1 random disorder and collision rule. So missed there. So it just runs up to the edge, and that's the end of that. Alright, since Agathon is knocked down, and so is Ying, they're going to stay down. Whoops, we're going to shuffle. Alright, so we know that this thing's going to turn around and start running for the acanthus plant. And it's actually probably going to run over Shella, unfortunately, because that's the direction. No matter what I do, it's going to move that kind of wobbly way. It's got to go a direct route. So I can't choose to go this way or this way. It's going to run into her, I think. We'll figure it out in a second here. 5, 6. We're just out of range with Phalor. We know where it's going. It's going to run her over and end right here. There's no reason for Phalor to do much of anything. Except maybe use the Order of Death to give 2 insanity to everybody. So we'll go ahead and do Order of Death, and all non-death survivors gain +2 insanity. 1, 2 here, 1, 2 here. So Ying is back up to insane, and Agathon has a little bit of brain defense now. And Phalor is just going to sit there and guard the acanthus plant as it's going to run that direction. And we're done. Next turn. Alright, so again, it's just going to go after the acanthus. And in this case, it's going to run over Shella. Shella has no ability to get out of the way. So it's going to turn, and it's just going to just run her over and continue moving that direction. Now, I think I can move it closer this way and turn it. But Shella's going to be knocked down by it. And she's going to suffer a trample, which is 1 damage to her body. Which is okay. She suffered a light wound there. Okay, and then it's done. So Agathon will get back up, and so will Ying. Now, they're too far away to do anything, but Agathon could actually, I think, move and throw darts. So Agathon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to move up and throw a dart. And if we see here, the bone darts, 1 die, 5 to hit, 5 to wound. So here we go. Missed. Alright, Agathon. It's alright. Don't worry about it. We still have Phalor, and Phalor's going to shoot his bow. 5 to hit, 5 to wound. We can remove the claw-headed arrow. You can only shoot it once. Miss. That's bad, because we want to stop it from eating. Because if it eats, that's really bad. Phalor's done. So Ying... Actually, Ying could probably dash. I think Ying's going to dash. So here's 5. We're going to go ahead and spend a dash. And since we have the rawhide armor set, since we spent a survival now, we're going to roll to try to get it back. 6+ and we get that survival back. And we rolled a 7, we got it back. And also the dagger will give us things back as well. So after we dash, we're going to run into its blind spot again. And we're going to attack. With 3 dice, 6 to hit, 5 to hit because of blind spot, 7 to wound. 1 hit. First strike. The Screaming Antelope's massive eyes glisten with human-like fear. If the attacker is insane, we just became insane. Cancel all hits and end their attack. So it's all canceled. First strike, if you draw several cards, first strike has to be resolved first. All right. So we will go ahead and encourage Shella to stand up with Ying here, and Ying's going to roll again because of the rawhide armor set, and we're going to get that survival back. So that's good. So Shella will stand up. So Shella still has her turn, and she can still attack with now. Or she can't attack. She's got to get rid of this token, right? So she's going to have to get rid of that with an activation, and she can't do anything else. So that's it. She can stand there, she can move, but we're not going to do anything else. All right, we still have not gotten rid of Showdown, which is bad. So now it's going to move towards this acanthus again. Now it's going to eat it, and when it eats it, it rolls a 1d5, and we move the top 1d5 cards from the wound stack to the bottom of the AI deck without looking at them. We only got 4 in there. Let's see how many it gets back. Oh, that's great. It gets 4 cards in there, so it gets them all back. So now he just completely healed up. Let's move these out. Yeah, we've just started over, everybody. And we've already taken some injuries and things. Okay, and it's, let's see, it's going to keep doing this too. So we need to, but now it doesn't matter because it's just going to eat the rest of the acanthus if we don't kill it. All right. That was its turn. Now it's back up to us. So it's going to keep doing that every turn. That's why I'm leaving it face up and not doing anything, because it just keeps popping back to the top of this deck. All right. Let's let Ying run up here and try to hit with the 3 dice. 5 to hit, 7 to wound. There, we got 3 hits there. 1, 2, 3. All right. 2 of these have no problem to just roll against them, so we're going to go ahead and roll those. Restless back and furry throat. We wounded finally. See ya, Showdown. Okay. 7 to wound. Again. There's a critical hit on the furry throat. So first of all, on the furry throat, gain 1 Screaming Antelope resource. Okay, we're going to go grab one of those. Shuffle. Grab 1. We got the horn, which is kind of nice. All right. And then there's a chance this blow snaps the Screaming Antelope's neck, killing it. Roll a 1d10. On a result of 10, the Screaming Antelope dies instantly. So we need a lantern here. Let's hit it. Oh, we got it! Oh! Unbelievable! I can't believe I hit that. You wouldn't believe how many times I've drawn that card through the times I've played this game, and I've never killed it in a blow. You saw it here today. Unbelievable. The antelope healed himself completely, and Ying ran up there, jumped on its back, stabbed it in the throat, ripped off its horn, its spiral horn, moans balefully when blown, stabs it in the neck, pulls the knife out, the dagger, and then blows the horn. What is going on, everybody? That is insane. All right, the antelope is dead. That is great. That is great. We had to deal with a fresh antelope while we have taken quite a few hits, and it's done. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the bug patch. I couldn't get the acanthus there, but I'm not gonna say that was a bad thing. All right, so you can see the victory conditions here. It says here, rewards: if any survivor with 20 plus insanity are driven mad by the monster's death wail, they vanish screaming into the darkness, never to be seen again. That didn't happen. So we get the level 1 antelope plus 4 Screaming Antelope resources plus 4 basic resources. So there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and there's our resources here. And I'm not gonna do anything with those other than just move them down here. And then the basic resources. Monster bone, we've got an unknown wild card, and some more hide. So we'll drag these over to our resource pile here for now. All right, good deal. Okay, so we are now successful, so we need to make sure we update our cards here. We've got sword, and we did damage with the sword, so Agathon's going to get 1 proficiency with his sword. He's also going to get another hunt XP. Ying also is going to get a hunt XP and a dagger proficiency. We did hit with the bow. We hit with the claw-headed arrow for sure. And the spear, I believe we did hit with the spear and wound. I'm pretty sure that's one of the things you have to kind of remember there. Did we wound with the spear? I believe we did. And if I forgot, whoopsie. Okay, so now... that's one of the problems when you're single player, trying to remember if they actually scored a wound or not. And that's something you kind of got to watch for. But if they don't wound with their weapon, they don't get any proficiency with it. But I believe that the spear did land a wound once or twice. So there we go. All right. Great. Yeah, so we've got our endeavor here. We didn't use last time. We're going to get 4 endeavors for our 4 people returning. We need to move this chit up here. The setup phase, we don't have to worry. The survivors are returning, and survivors return. We have to heal them and remove any tokens. And this does automatically by just clicking heal and rest. All the tokens will be removed. And you can see it, they're all now healed up. We do need to move these over as well as they return. And we brought some good stuff back for our colony here. But they're actually not officially returned yet, so that's kind of something you probably I should have held off on. All right, they're returning anyway. Do not remove their gear. Next, gain endeavors, which I've just done, but we also have to think that we might gain some other endeavors too. And if we pop open our timeline here, we can also advance our time. You get other endeavors for other things down the road. So we do have our society principle here, collective toil. So at the start of the settlement phase, gain +1 endeavor for every population. So we're 10 populations. So we have our population of 14. No deaths yet, interestingly enough. And yeah, that is, let's see. Okay, and then we're going to advance our timeline to 4. We have nothing to pick up here. So we're going to shuffle our cards and draw 1. And this is the Hunt Reenactment Settlement Phase. Nominate the group's favorite survivor to play the hunter. Nominate your least favorite survivor to play the monster. Pick 1 monster from the settlement's list of defeated monsters. Okay. Okay, so we pick 1 monster, and then we roll. So we need to nominate our favorite hunter. Who is our favorite hunter out of this? I'm going to have to say Brick is probably our favorite hunter. Although, yeah. We can nominate any survivor, I think. Nominate your least favorite survivor. So yeah, nominate the group's favorite survivor. Nominate your least favorite survivor to play the monster. Okay, who's our least favorite survivor? Probably Andros. He's pretty injured, actually. He's got his contracture, broken ribs. So Brick is our favorite. And I think Andros is probably our least favorite. Okay. All right, and then we're going to roll a d10. So let's roll it right here. And we rolled a 4. So on a 4, it says, is the monster a nemesis? Oh, by the way, we'd pick a monster from the defeated. Let's pick the antelope. We just did that. Is the monster a nemesis? No. The monster falls, silencing the crowd with a sickening crack. The survivor nominated to be the monster dies. The survivor nominated to be the hunter sets their insanity to 0. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to read something up. No, that was 1, 2, 3. That would have been nice to get that fighting art too up there. Oh well, we just had a hunt reenactment, and we just killed Andros, didn't we? Because he was the okay, he was the one that was the last person. So okay, we're gonna spawn Andros here, and then I'm gonna make a graveyard. Let's put a graveyard over here under the hunt board, so we can see the people who've died. If we want to glance over there at them, the dead people. Rest in peace. All right, so now we've actually lost somebody. Okay, so yeah, that is done. We've just basically killed him, and then Brick has to have his insanity set to 0. So Brick was insane. That's probably why that happened. And now he realized what he's done. He's killed Andros, who was an injured cripple, broken ribs and everything. Okay, unfortunately, that's sometimes going to happen. All right, we'll put that back in the deck and shuffle that up for the next Lantern year. Okay, next, we have to update the timeline, which we've done now. That was what we did. We triggered our story events. We first drew the settlement card. There's no story events. Now we update the death count. So our timeline shows that we did, or the population shows that we did lose somebody now, our first death. And then under the timeline, you can see we have a milestone here that we're going to be checking in the next thing, our first death. So we're checking our milestones. First death, click death. All right. And you can see the picture, savage. All right. The group must choose what to do with their first survivor corpse. Choose one. The first harvest. We're going to cannibalize the dead for resources. Or we're going to make graves, and we're going to use the graves to basically remember our survivors. Now, we're collective toil, we're protecting the young, we're working together, and we're protecting our babies. Should we be eating people? It's definitely an interesting idea. If we eat people, we do get resources out of them. And that is useful because we do want resources. However, if we let them die and bury them gracefully in a graveyard, which I've already started creating, we get some endeavors and things for that if people die. So we're going to go ahead and not cannibalize them. we're going good in a world of darkness. Okay, so here, all new survivors gain +1 understanding, and when a survivor dies during a hunt or showdown phase, gain +2 endeavors. So if we lose somebody in the hunt or showdown, we get 2 endeavors, which is nice. Or if they die during the settlement phase, we gain 1 endeavor. So he died during the settlement phase, but we don't get the endeavor because that's after he died. But we do get to do this. We roll a d10. And we rolled a 6. So here's a 6. Nominate a survivor. With tears in their eyes, the survivor takes a shard of rock from the grave and marks themselves with it. They cherish this mark forever. The survivor gains +1 permanent luck, so they can more easily crit here. All right, so Andros is dead. So who should we give the luck to? Brick killed him, so Brick may feel bad about that after he snapped out of it, came back, and realized, oh no, look what I've done. I've killed Andros, who was broken ribbed and injured, and people didn't like him very much. It's a horrible thing. Probably should have tried to kill Yang with his seizures instead. Okay, so we're going to let Brick cut himself and mourn the death that he caused as he stabbed Andros. In a mock of the reenactment of the hunt, he jumped on Andros's back and stabbed him in the throat and then ripped off his horn. He didn't have a horn, and then maybe ripped off his ear and blew through the ear. That's a morbid. And then he realized how horrible he was, and then he lost all his insanity. And he came back to his senses, and then he gained 1 luck for it. So that's best of a bad situation, right? All right. Develop. Now we're going to be developing. We need to make sure all of our supplies are now in here. Okay, so we've got fresh acanthus, and we would like to turn that into a resource. The other thing to mention is that we did bring back some pelts and things, and we do need to get the stone circle. We need 3 organs and a hide for that, and we don't have anywhere near that. So the other thing is we could Well, the broken lanterns are not that useful to us right now. By the way, don't forget to reset your decks. Yeah, if you're going to use those cards out of there. Okay. So we have bones, shank bone. The spiral horn is good for things later. We have a bunch of hide. We could just burn the pelts and make some basic gear sets. The flat tooth and things are quite good, and the spider is a free hide that we would be able to use as well. Based on this amount of hide we have, we could actually build an entire new skinnery set for another rawhide set for someone, which would be really nice. 2 rawhide full sets. And we do have the lion gear, but we're not working on that just yet. And we could save things like the horn and the pelts and the flat tooth if we like. And also, we might want to consider innovating. If we wanted to innovate, we would have to burn one of these random resources here. So this is something to consider as well. So if I would like to make a full set of hide gear for one of our other people, which maybe Shella might get a full set. This person here could get a full set of rawhide. We would need 1, 2, 3, and then we need 5 hides. So we'd have to dip into our pelts here, but it may be worth it to get a full set bonus as well. And then we do have a shank bone, a large flat tooth remaining. We could make another bone item, or we could just sit on it as well. We also have the option of doing the weapon crafter, which might be a little early for that. We don't have enough lion gear to do any other of the lion stuff just now. We'd have to go hunt a lion for that. The other thing is we have a nemesis encounter coming up, which is the butcher, which is just bad news. So I think we're going to go ahead and, well, first let's innovate. I would like to innovate. We're going to throw these away. That's 3. Spend an endeavor to innovate. And yeah, we can draw 2. Shuffle. 1, 2, and we're going to flip them over here. Okay, there's pictograph. We had that before. Pictograph allows us to run away. So we can actually run away from the butcher if we think we can't kill him. Or scarification. We can spend 1 endeavor. Initiation. Once per lifetime, gain +1 courage and roll the hit location die. On the head, we suffer the severe head injury. On a body, we get the tough fighting art. On the waist, we just cut off our genitals. That's nice. On the hands, we get a +1 permanent luck. And on legs, we roll a 1d10. On a result of 6+, you lose some toes, -1 permanent movement. Wow, it's kind of a hit and miss, right? I think we're going with pictograph. The pictograph gives us more consequences for our deck, so we're going to search picto. Only 1. We'll add that into our innovation deck. So pictograph is going to come here. Now this gives us at the start of the survivor's act, they may skip their act and run away. After a hunt is resolved, a survivor may decide it's time to go home and run away. So we can run away. And running away, it triggers a runaway story event and allows us to get away if things start going south, and we can survive, although we may take some injuries or may never make it home. So runaway is kind of a nice thing to have in a situation where we might be up against something impossible to win against. The other thing to mention is the butcher does have some pretty dangerous equipment. We've got 2 bone weapons here and bone darts that he may, super dense, may actually break. That's bad news. All right, we'll throw all these out, 5 hide, and we're gonna make a full set of armor again. So if I can copy these. Okay, so there we go. And we're going to drop these over here. Take the cloth waste off. There we go. I'll arrange them just a little bit. And then we get the armor set bonus again. Okay. So again, our whoever is in the slot right now, Shella, will get a full set of rawhide armor. So that's pretty good. Still not perfect against the butcher, but better than nothing. Cloth armor is going to go up here. All right, we still have some weapon parts left or something. We have 3 bones. We could be spending... we could, for example, get 3 bones and get a club. Let's see, we could make a helm, which is not so useful. And if we want to see what the club does, the club is cumbersome, so you have to spend the movement and the activation to swing it. It says ignore cumbersome if the weapon is activated indirectly, such as pounce or charge. So that's kind of a nice thing. But in general, this weapon is big, it's heavy, and it generally does wound. So that's kind of a good thing. But the question is who would use it right here. Not necessarily anyone would necessarily need it, but it is something to consider. We could save things for later because the spiral horn does go with another set, and the large flat tooth would make some decent armor as well. We could sit on it and save bone, or we could build the club. As far as the other stuff to build, there's not a whole lot there. We could build everybody some stone noses, which is a rival. We gain plus insanity. We do have 1 nose. We have 4 endeavors. Nothing to spend them on except for augury to have more kids, or to build or innovate. We've already spent 1 to innovate, so we don't have any more opportunities to innovate this time. So augury is probably the best thing to do, or to share experience is also a decent idea as well. So if we wanted to do the augury, I would like someone with 3+ understanding. So if we flip through, we don't have anybody with 3+ understanding, and we would lose our extra bones here. I don't mind losing the shank bone necessarily, but I would like to keep the spiral horn and the flat tooth for future use, since I kind of know what's coming up. Or we could share experience. Brick can actually share experience. He's 2 ahead of other people, so he could share his experience with some of the other survivors, such as Yang, if he wanted to buff up Yang, or some of these unnamed people as well. He could do that, and that would give them a little bit better ability to use the weapons that we have, because it would give them the chance to start working on their proficiencies as they fight. So, I think we're gonna take a chance with the shank bone anyway. Let's send our wisest person out there, who is Hope. Hope is kind of our... Oh, no, we need to do somebody who has 2 understanding. Probably Shella the Fool. Yeah, all new survivors gain +1 understanding with the graves now too. So we're gonna let Shella go out and do the augury then. So let's roll Shella here. And she rolled a lantern, so we got an intimacy there. We toss out one of these. That's good. We have to choose 2 people to have a child together. And we're going to choose Hope, because she is our den mother, so to speak. And why don't we send in Yang. Hope and Yang. Hope and Yang are going to have kids. So here we can see we roll twice on the intimacy table and pick one of the results. So that's the good thing about the protecting the young. So we're going to take the higher of these 2 numbers. And we rolled 3s. So in this case, the male survivor perishes with her child during birth. Oh, the settlement is cast in gloom. The male survivor, Yang, mourns and gains a random disorder. Goodbye, Hope. Hope is dead. Yang will gain a random disorder as well, but he will gain 3 insanity. Let's pack up somebody here and drop Yang in so we can give him a random disorder. Already got some problems. He's a rageaholic now. Whenever you suffer severe injury, also suffer the frenzy brain trauma. Poor Yang. He's just having a bad day. Seizures and raging. Sounds like he got hit in the head way too many times. All right, we do gain an endeavor back because we lost somebody now. That was tragic. The ladies are not always having the best medical care right now. All right, Shella the Wise is going to try again. We're going to spend another token here. Try again on the roll. Now she rolled a 4, which she gains a survival. Shella the Wise is going to gain 1 survival. We'll spend 1 more token and give her another shot at having kids here. And we do. We got another intimacy. All right. Hope is dead. So let's let a couple unnamed people get a shot at this. Well, Yang is a rageaholic. He's having a really bad day. So we're gonna hook him up with this unnamed female. We're gonna name her. She's already maxed out on survival, so I guess I don't have to name her actually, because she gets a survival when she gets named, and that would be a waste of us getting a free survival. So this unnamed person in Yang already had a bad experience, so we're gonna give him another chance here. And he rolled an 8. Now we don't have beds, but we do gain 1 more population, so we gain somebody back. Now you could put down who the mother and father is if you like, but there are cards that actually do that, surnames and things. So these survivors pop up, and lantern years are just assuming kind of abstract. It's probably more than a year, even though they call it lantern year, so it's not an actual year. So Yang and unnamed have an unnamed baby, and each of them gain 10 survival. So Yang will gain 10 survival, but it's maxed out, and so will the unnamed person gain 10 survival. Now the new person also gains 1 understanding because these graves give them the understanding. All new survivors gain +1 understanding. They understand how bad this world is. So we are so close now. We have 2 dead survivors, back to 13. We still haven't got our milestone of... Oh, we did have the milestone before we lost it. Do we have 5 innovations now? Yes, we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are 5 innovations. So actually, I missed that. So we're going to check that. And then we got the Hooded Knight that shows up into our settlement. All right. If any survivor, a stranger emerges from the darkness. Oh, this just doesn't look good, does it? Look at that. All right. If any survivor has a Twilight Sword, they duel. Otherwise, his motives are inscrutable. Roll on the mysterious agenda table. Okay, so we roll a d10. Big number. Lantern. Lantern. Okay, Lantern is a blue. So, the 10 here. The Hooded Knight seems disturbed that the settlement has records, so roll a 1d10. So we don't have the records, so that's not going to do anything. But here, the Hooded Knight forces a tattered parcel into the hands of the returning survivor with the most hunt XP, if tied randomized. The Hooded Knight leaves with unfinished business. If there are no survivors, then the Knight leaves with unfinished business. Let's fix our survivors here to see. Yang to the side, Agathon is in here. 1, 2, all of them have the same, so we're going to randomize it and just roll and see who gets it. 4. So that will be Phalor. Phalor is going to get this tattered parcel. And we need to add the Hooded Knight to the timeline 4 years from now. So let's go to the timeline. And this is this year, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Up here, Hooded Knight. There's a lot of stuff in this year. Rumbling in the Dark, Promise of the Sun, Glowing Crater, and the Hooded Knight. Woo! Alright. Let's see. Oh, new survivor bonus, +1 understanding. From the graves, should put that in there. Alright, what is this tattered parcel? The survivor gains the Twilight Sword rare gear. Place it in their grid now. The survivor may select Twilight Sword as a weapon proficiency type. This weapon is cursed. In addition, the parcel contains the Blue Lantern and Dormant Twilight Cloak rare gear. Add these to the settlement storage. Okay. So we need to get the rare gear out of our deck here. Rare... Oh. Here's the rare gear. Alright, so we need the Twilight Sword. The blue. Uh-oh. Let's see. The Blue Lantern and the Dormant Twilight Cloak rare gear. Maybe that's in a different deck that I'm just not sure about. Efficiencies, Vermin. Let me take a look and see if I can find this for us here. I got the Twilight Sword, though, and that's given to Phalor here. We'll deal with that in a second. Okay, I pulled those out. Whoops. Hey. I pulled them out. I found them. Had to actually go way down here into the All Gear archive, pull it out, and search through that All Gear archive to find those. Alright, so the weapon is cursed, means we can't remove it, but we also have the Blue Lantern and the Twilight Cloak rare gear added to our settlement. So here, we'll rotate it around. So the Blue Lantern is sentient, which means you have to be insane to use it, and cursed. So if we put it on somebody, it'll never come off. Use it and suffer 2 to 10 brain damage. Then reveal the hit location cards until you reveal the trap. Put them back in the same order. Limit once per showdown. 2 to 10 brain damage? Who are we going to give that to? Alright. And they can't take it off either. They're cursed with it. Alright. The Dormant Twilight Cloak. Unique, irreplaceable, and it's an accessory. Ignore all sentient on all gear. You cannot depart with this if you have 3+ understanding. And it's 3 armor for the head. So that's unique. It's not cursed. So we're not going to get it again. But it does give us 3 armor to the head, which is fairly nice. Alright. Okay. Good, I guess. We could give it to somebody. We do have armor on almost everybody's head right now, so I don't see that it's going to be useful because it is a head slot. But it's an item. So it might overlap our headgear. I'll have to check that. I don't think it does because it goes in the head. It protects the head, so I don't think it will overlap the headgear. Let me check. Okay, so if it's an accessory, and it is an accessory, it can be worn in addition to the head armor. So it acts as a double kind of head armor. 3, that's huge. But if you have 3+ understanding, you can't wear it. And it's irreplaceable, meaning if somebody dies with it on there, it's archived. It means they lose it. And that's not easily going to come back, I think. All right. Okay, that is something to consider in the upcoming fight. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to win that fight, but we'll see how it goes, maybe. All right. Okay. All right, so I think we're going to train up some people here. We could train... Let's see, does anybody have 1? Hope has 1, but she's not going out. Andros is dead. Everyone else has 3, except for the new people. We could give a new person a couple points here. I think we could dump it into our new person down here at the bottom. We'll give them 2 and spawn them. And when you get to the 2, you get to the age part here. So our new survivor here has no survival. So we're going to go ahead and say that this is a female. And her name is Ginny. J-I-N-N-I-E. Ginny. And we're going to roll for her age here. 4. 4, she gains a permanent strength. So that's pretty good. So she's got an understanding. She's got a +1 permanent strength. That's pretty good for her, I think. All right. Next. That used up both of these as we trained her. 1 for each XP point that we gave her. And also she does get 1 weapon proficiency type, but we have to pick that. We haven't picked it yet. All right. Next. we have to prepare our departing survivors. Now we have a nemesis encounter coming up, and that is the butcher. So I'm going to clean up the showdown here and prepare for this. Okay, so the butcher is bad news. So we need to bring some of our best people if we want to have any chance at it. So that does not include Jeannie, who just started. So Agathon is, pretty decent. So I think we might consider bringing Agathon along. Or possibly Brick, because Brick is a clutch fighter. We would like people with fighting arts. Agathon does not have a fighting art because he gained his accuracy, so he will hit better. So maybe that's a good thing to have. The Timeless Eye is really good to get our survival back. The Twilight Sword, by the way, it is a slow weapon, so you only swing it with 1 die. Its accuracy is 9 minus the sword proficiency. So if we switch to the sword proficiency, that should be something we mention here. You may select it as a weapon proficiency type. So if we do that, it's going to be switched to nothing. And it would be 9 to hit with it, and that's not easy. But every time you gain a proficiency, it gets easier and easier, easier and easier to hit with it. So that's not such a bad deal for this character who's running with a bow and then also has the sword there. So if we would like to switch it, we can, and I think we're probably going to do that. Let's go ahead and switch to Twilight Sword. But it is a little bit scary too because no armor here, right? No armor. So we'll see how that goes. A little bit intimidating. Just in case anybody gets close, we'll whack with the Twilight Sword then. Okay. So Agathon's coming. Ying is coming along. Phalor and Shella the Wise is coming with the spear. It's a fairly good layout, I think. We've got the founding stones. Everybody's got their founding stones, except we did throw one. And now we're up against the Butcher. It's a special showdown. We heal, remove their tokens, return to the... so it's not a special showdown, actually, so we are ending the settlement phase. So now we have to do the showdown with the timeline here. We'll pop up with a timeline. We have the Nemesis encounter with the Butcher. It's a level 1 Butcher. And there we have it. Okay. And you can see what he looks like, the Butcher. And he's not doing good things to those people's faces. There once was a man who could not fear or hide his fear. He wore a mask that transformed his cowardice to rage. In turn, the man transformed into a monster. All that remained was a devouring fury that stalked the night, collecting the fearful faces of others. It says departing survivors do not have a hunt phase. Instead, select the Butcher level 1 for this. And we can see where we set up some things, and we're going to start against this really nasty character. And I don't know we're going to win this. We may have to end up running away, but we're going to try. So in the next episode, we are going to be taking on the Butcher. Thanks for joining. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.